Alright, so I wanted to put together a Deadeye Ambush deck for the patch of 10.3, and this is what I came up with. And really it came down to theory crafting the deck, playing it out in my head a little bit, and then just putting this together and running into games. I had a pretty good time with it. There are a couple little adjustments. Maybe you can make it the bronze end if you'd like. Maybe you might opt for a purify, more or less to use it offensively, or you can opt for like a movement tech because there are some row locked units that maybe we want to, take care of. In the Frost matchup, I can think of Nithral being a very common one, and whatnot. I've been seeing some mill come around, so just being able to move something and heatwave it is kind of nice, but I think Purify works just fine as well, because when it comes to these things, we can get them from Simlas into Bountiful Harvest, but they're not guaranteed. So something to take in consideration. Also, with the Elven Swordmaster, this could be your possible substitute if you're looking to put in either of these, because there are many Frost matchups right now. I don't always mind when they use Leader to push one of these back. If anything, it's nice to see it out of the way. However, if you're finding that it's, over time not really paying off the way you'd like, then maybe you can take out one of these and swap it out. Something as well you could even go for off the bat is like the bombers. I think I had them. These. These could be another healthy substitute, but I think the ceiling on these is just much higher over a long round if they're left untreated, and not every matchup's going to be Frost. So you have to kind of just consider all things when putting it together. Now, to go through the deck list here, we have Feign Death. It's a scenario, and it brings out Vernaciel's Commando at the beginning, right? So it's going to bring this card out at the end of your turn, boost up by 1 if you control only elves, ignore condition if you control Vernal. So again, another option that you can even put in the bronze end, fine, if you want. I just like to have these because they help break things down for death blows for the archers. It's kind of the reason why I think they go hand in hand there. But we get one of these engines out there, which is great. When we play our first elf, we get to spawn 2 Deadeyes in the row, and then when we play our second elf, we get to play a Waylay. So again, another reason why we want to set up things for a proper Waylay, because we need to make sure that we're getting some value from that. Obviously, I like to use death blows because I just find that they're more effective. But with the card right now, they actually changed it a little bit. So it's damage an enemy by 3 and spawn an Elven Deadeye in a random row. So we don't need the death blow necessarily to make this work, right? It's going to work regardless. But I do like it because we don't have a whole lot of removal. We've got a couple rebukes. We've got the Yavin. We've got the Heatwave. So I think to have these act as removal as well, it's quite nice. So that's the perfect scenario, basically. Now, moving on to the next card on the deck, we have Simlas Finn. So play all copies of a bronze special card from our deck. Again, this is nothing new to Scoia'tael. This is going to be a way that I get thinning as well as carryover from the deck, right? We can use this early on in round 1 if we need to, pull the 2 Bountiful Harvest, get the 4 points of hand buff carryover, get 2 cards thinned out of the deck, and then get Aileron thinned out of the deck in the same round. So then we're more likely to top deck into a lot of these other cards, opposed to having to add like Oniromancy or something like that to get it. And I like to play it this way better. I know some of you guys would prefer to use Oniromancy, and in that event I probably suggest that you go and maybe take out like a Protector or a Heatwave and just kind of make some changes that way. It would have to be like 2 cards that you take out. It would have to be like these 2, and then maybe Nero and put in like another mid-range card like a Lock. So it's up to you entirely, but like I said, I just like it this way, and I'm finding that we're not really missing our gold cards. Once in a while we'll miss one, but I think it's the same with any other deck, right? Even if you put Oniromancy in a deck, it doesn't mean that you're going to pull that card. So it's just something to consider, right? Vernaciel got the buff, so this got a provision buff from 12 to 11. It makes it feel very comfortable in the deck right now. On melee, each Elven Deadeye does 2 damage to a random enemy unit, and on range, we spawn 2 Deadeyes. Now, what's nice about this is it indirectly got buffed again because we have cards like Waylay now just giving us the Deadeye no matter what. We have the Archer now being able to summon a Deadeye or spawn a Deadeye on a death blow, which is really cool. And then, of course, cards like Half Elf Hunter get some good payoff when they spawn the Deadeyes for themselves. So lots of Deadeyes going around. and we don't have to worry about just like 3 leader charges and we slam this card. It's not really that special when you do it that way. At least we can get the board state nice and set up first, and we even have potential of rolling more half-elf hunters off the bountifuls and then getting even better damage if we're going to take the ambush. Otherwise, we just take the swarm because we get good swarm payoff with cards like Ursine. So that's pretty much it. I'm really happy with Verno in the patch. I like Protector quite a bit. I think it's necessary to have extra control options, so I have the ability to go now and get an extra Rebuke if I want it. Otherwise, we go for the Bountiful Harvest for a big point swing, right? And just getting more hand carryover, spawning more elves that can synergize with their strategy and fill the board. So that's kind of the reason why I have it there, and one of the reasons why I didn't go and opt for a change for Oniro. I just think this is too valuable. Now, Karathi Heatwave just feels important. Banish unit or artifact. This is going to help us quite a bit because a lot of people right now are playing Scenario. If you think about Siege and you think about Deadeye Ambush being a thing again, you're going to see more Deadeye Ambush scenarios, or Feign Deaths rather. So, you know, being able to banish these things is great. Otherwise, being able to take care of a really tall unit or something that can drastically change the game is super important, right? Being able to Heatwave an Eredin or a Colgrim or a Sigvald or Melusine or whatever the case, right? There's always going to be something in every matchup that I think you need to get rid of. And, you know, we can't always do it with like rebukes and stuff like that. So this just comes in clutch there. I really like the Ursine buff. So this just went from 4 base power to 6 base power. On deploy, you boost all like other allied elf units by 1. Whenever you play an elf, boost elf by 1. Keep in mind it's whenever you play an elf, not whenever you spawn an elf. So what you want to do when you play this card is you actually want to go and you want to get all your elves spawned first. So if you think you're going to be taking Vernaciel for spawning on range row, then do it first. If you're going to take your leader charges that round, you want to do that first, right? If you're going to go and get death blows from the Doblathana archers, or you're going to play your Waylays, again, do these things first. Bountiful Harvests, right? Crate plays, spawns, this, that. You never know what's going to come off of these, right? It could be more half-elves that spawn tokens. So you want to make sure that you just kind of wait to the right time, and then anything else you could just play after and engine this card, right? So it's kind of one of those things that I like to do with it. You don't want to start them off early because this card will often get locked or heatwaved if it's like the tallest thing we have, and if they didn't hit scenario that round or whatever the case, because it could be different rounds that we play the strats. So that's basically it. We have Aileron, of course, going to be thinning from our deck in round 1 if we have 5 elves. So very simple, especially if we go first to get the stratagems, going to spawn 2, then we just play a couple cards and we're pretty much there. So this is, I would say, guaranteed to come out in round 1, unless we just don't want it to, which then we just don't play too deep into the round. So we can control that to an extent, but I think you actually do want to play it. It's unlike traps, I think, where you want to save it to the end. This just feels more comfortable getting out nice and early. Now, Torville got a crazy buff, and with this here, basically deploy melee damage enemy units on the end of a row by 2 each, and then on range damage all units on a row by 1. But if we have a Deadeye on our side of the playing field, which is the new part of the card, we can use both abilities. So that right there gives it a crazy point ceiling of like 20 points if you think about it, right? Doing the whole row of damage, that could be 9, plus the 10, 11, 12, 13, plus the 4, 17 points. That this card is the ceiling for 8 provisions, so it's really good. One mistake I made, and I feel like I shouldn't have to point this out or even have done it, but I'm just going to say it. So if they have 1 card on melee and it's 5 power, you don't get the damage by both sides and then the 1. It doesn't do 5 damage. I was thinking that maybe we can finesse it. It does not work like that, so don't do it, basically, right? But other than that, you still have other win conditions, but this is really good for control in swarm matchups, especially if you're running into a lot of Firesworn, you're running into a lot of elf mirrors. You definitely want to hold on to this card and value this card because it can make quite a difference. Now, Yavin's really good. I think this card's great because you can manipulate how much it plays for every single time. I thought about putting Great Oak, but this card just does it for less cost, right? You don't get as high of a base body, but we have other points in the deck, so I don't think it really matters. Damage an enemy unit by the number of elf units in this row. Simple enough. Fill the row to however much you need and then use it. It does count itself, so if you want to get rid of a 5, all you need is 4 in the row before you play this, right? and you can subsidize that with leader charges or whatever the case. You could use your stratagem, whatever you need to do, right, to get the extra elves that you need. Bountiful Harvest, we touched on it when we talked about Simlas. Same with Rebukes, pretty simple, straightforward. Damage enemy by 5, death blow, boost random trait by 2. So it does synergize with this a little bit, but that's not why it's there. It's just the nice 5-point removal that we have, of course. Obviously, getting extra specials too if we roll a Whisperer off Bountiful Harvest is another added synergy to think about, right? Half-Elf Hunters, basically it. You're getting another token on the board, but you also have Harmony, so we do have one card that procs it, which is kind of cool. But again, it's not why it's there. It's just an added benefit. The Vriad Vanguard, I have to get used to playing these on range roll, or, you know, the idea of playing them on range roll, but they work either way. You can play them proactively at the beginning of the round and get a big boost on them. They can go up to like 10 points, right? Which is pretty nuts. And you put it on the range row, you can boost up by 1 for each elf in the row. So if you find that the sequencing doesn't allow you to play this early, you can still play this late. Or if you have a lot of specials in your hand, but the specials are spawning elves, again, you can still play this late. So it works out quite well that way. I like Archer because of the versatility of it. We don't always get to damage something by 3 and death blow it, right? Sometimes we have just a couple like 1s and stuff and little tokens. So to be able to put this on ranged and get the spread out damage is kind of nice as well. Deathblow Spawn a Deadeye, pretty simple. It's basically the same card, but they just took down the base power by 3 and then added like a Deathblow Spawn a Deadeye. That's essentially it. So if you're used to playing the Archer, you could stay used to playing the Archer. It's the same thing, but the points are more split up. So if anything, it's a little bit safer, I guess, for us. Waylay's talked about it. 3 and 3 is 6, plus the potential of the extra damage here and the potential of the added unit for Yavin and, of course, like the Isengrim, right? So these get really good value now. Like, I don't know how to actually categorize it, but I would say it's like an 8 or 9 for 6, or for 4 provisions if you can get everything to kind of combo together. Doblathana Bowman got a buff, and it doesn't seem like much, but it's quite a bit. Here's the thing, because when you play against elves, you're expecting that they have Bowmans in the deck, and I don't think that's a reason not to include them. I think you still want to play them, because not everybody respects it, but if they go and they play a card on melee, it's respecting the fact that we probably have this card. Now, worst case scenario, this plays 6 for 4. Best case scenario, it plays 7 for 4. The fact that it does 2 or 3 damage is valuable to me because the damage is important in setting up other combos, right? Death blows with this and just kills with this and stuff like that. So I think that this plays quite well for its provisions. And again, Swordmaster, I think it's going to be great if you find yourself running into too many Frost matchups. We talked about the possible substitutions that you can put, but this is just like the first day patch review, Theorycraft. Like, I think it's pretty good. You know what I mean? We filled up the mosaic for 2, going on 1. I don't feel like playing anymore today, but I'll get back to it tomorrow. And that's pretty much it. So in this video, I've got 5 or 6 games for you guys today. I don't remember how many I recorded, but I think it might actually just be 6. And it'll be some reference for you guys, how the deck plays and stuff like that. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on it. And I want to see if I can get to 6K subs by the end of the week. So I think that we're going to make it happen. But for now, let's get into the games, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Alright guys, so I just bought this game board right now, so let's try and get this video to 300 likes so Mr. Google can pay me back for the purchase that I made. But I'm really excited to play elves. We got a Frost deck up first. Maybe just one of those for round 1. I would expect them to play on melee. I also kind of expect like a long round, so maybe Isengrim goes for now. I think that's my heat wave, just because otherwise it gets kind of awkward playing into that, right? Here. This has to be like my favorite board of all time. Look at this. It's so bright. So nice. That's like a pretty good rebuke, no? So, having played Frost first, I consider this a little bit of an unfavorable matchup, you know? It's probably a bowman. Realistically, it's probably a bowman, right? I don't want to play into the frost, but at the same time, like, I want to start doing something here. It's probably just... This might play into frost, though, you know? Using a bowman feels like a waste. Okay, I actually don't mind just taking something like that, fine. So be it, right? This is kind of expensive, especially because they haven't really done a whole lot. They're not that far ahead, though. Maybe start working on chipping that down. Again, I'm not sold, but I do enjoy the fact that they're row stacking. I think I'm going to play that on purpose on ranged, just because I don't want it to take damage, and I don't think it's going to get much value in this match. So if I take out a 4, puts them to 14, it was a smart play. I think we just actually take... I'm hoping for something like Scenario, and then we just try and tempo here, or Simlas, right? Perfect. I think that's gonna be the way. Put that down, put that... Yeah, that's like the hand, right? Let's try and protect this a little bit here. It doesn't really work like that. However, they're moving our stuff, right? It's probably that, just because we're going to be taking damage. Their single proc, we just get rid of that. And there you have it. And then it comes out, we can just boost everything, right? I think we're in a favorable spot. You see, like... Do I ever just... Let's flip it here. Disgusting tempo. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 damage. I want to say it's just ranged. I think we can pass. Yeah, I think we can pass there. We're going to be getting 2 cards out. The extra frost doesn't really do a whole lot for them here. There you go. So 2 gets it by 1. We almost got them to go all in, and I still have Protector left. Mind you, it's going to be Protector and Yavin for the win conditions here. So I don't think I mind Waylay. I think this is a little bit awkward. That's a bit better. Yeah, we'll just rebuke it, and then we'll just take it out next turn. It's probably this here before they go nuts with it. I know how this goes. And then we'll waylay that. Okay, Oswald's a big swing, but I don't think it's... Alright, so they know. We should be good. We have 2 cards on them, right? Yeah. We'll take it. Alright, so we're playing against Stockpile now. This should be kind of difficult. Because they have a lot of pings to help break things down, you know? Let's see here. I want to clean up the hand just in case. These could actually be pretty nice. I don't think that this is going to get much value. Every elf in hand, though, is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's quite a bit. Are there any that we can dump? Like, I don't mind dumping Protector in order to, like, greet another elf. Okay, it feels bad dumping Heatwave. I think maybe we just put the Rebuke. Whatever. That's not horrible. I want to have this set up because I value damage more than boost, but then we'll have to go ahead and play this. So clearly they're hiding something. We kind of have to get rid of that, don't we? It's a little bit slow if we let it go. You know what I mean? It's probably like a Rafford's. Yeah, it's probably that. There's really nothing I can do. Like, it's kind of expensive to remove it this turn, but we can get it next turn. It's just the longer I wait for this, the worse it gets, right? At least next turn we can get 1 ping plus Waylay kill, you know? Opposed to just letting it go wild behind the defender. Or there's that. Let's see here. Man, oh man. I'm actually making errors right, left, and center. Yeah, we'll take this out just because we have to. I should have clicked this after. We would have had the extra point this turn. That's a mistake. But for what it's worth, though, it's kind of a scary round to play into. Let's see what we can do, though. So, definitely, yeah. We'll just take this because we want the points. Let that be the last mistake, though, you know what I mean? They played Amphibious, Rafford's... Okay, so they get their carryover for their charges, but... We take round pretty inexpensively. I guess Heatwave would have been the only commitment there with Yavin. I'm just most worried about these charges, so we have to be careful. Let's have a look here. Put specials back. Play that and just see how they respond to it, right? It's a pretty good waylay. Well, actually, we can even just use that. The fact that these 5 leader charges basically make up the amount of points that we have on the board is actually pretty nuts. Maybe we could try and get some Simlas carryover before the pass. It kind of makes up for the fact that they have that much leader. And then it'll help us actually pull into the Vernasio better, right? I think that's what we're gonna do. Here. I'm stacking because I think they might have siege, basically. If it's the only unit on the row. It's probably the scribe. Well, we got what we wanted, right? A 6-5? Yeah, we're good. That's what we wanted. I think they'll have to use amphibious, yeah. Like, and leader charge here. There we go. Actually, there is the drummer. Yeah. They're probably going to play around this Bowman quite well, so maybe we put that back. We need Scenario, we need Vernasio, it's huge, like, so important. Let me just get one of them. There we go. I think it's a big advantage for us here. We could probably still win without the ambush, just because they played Scenario. We probably respect that first. Think about the amount of charges it gets from their leader. I'm going to play the next game a little bit better, though. I'm just kind of like rushing through it, but there's no reason to rush. Giving something zeal. I guess we just have to put up with that right here. We'll take that, and then we can just waylay off that real easy in the back row. They're adding to it. So I like the offensive approach here. Maybe take a rebuke. I think it's probably better. There we go. Yeah, I played bad, but we still got it. Alright, so we got Ursine Ritual up next. I'm thinking Self-Wound. Thinking Self-Wound. How do we want to play this? I don't know if I want to really go scenario just yet, but we don't have to mulligan it back, because if we don't get it, that's bad, right? We've got a lot of swarm potential. Maybe we do like a swarm boost round as a win condition. Maybe we tuck back a couple of these specials. That's not even bad. I just want to get some good value off the good old Vanguard. Curse Scroll. I think, yeah, I think it's Self-Wound. I don't think it's Lippy. What happens if I damage and spawn? The damage happens before the spawn. Okay, that's that interaction right there. It's kind of worth it though, if you think about it. Because we can take it out with this. And that has order. So, yeah. Why not? We'll play this though. We'll play this next. We got to get these out there ASAP. It's just sometimes, you know, it doesn't really go your way. You have to... Gross. What do we do about that? Here, we'll just stick to the program. I think you don't want to have more than one of these in hand in a round. But I think they have a really good point ceiling with the range roll play. You know what I mean? So, like, that's also an option. We'll just go for the rebuke on that, I'm sure. If we can get Cirrus Fearless out in round 1, that would be really good. We're starting to see some good commitments, though. That's not really a big deal, you know? Let him have it, I guess. Yeah. That could be a nice rebuke. Right? Maybe make them go and take one of their revives on it a bit early. I think we still leave it. Because on a pass, we just play something cheap and get ahead. They're just dumping gold cards like 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, right? I think we've played 1. It was a smart move for us not to play scenario, because I think we have a bit of an advantage. Defender. That's not a big deal. Well, I think we just play this because we can. This might not be enough to push us out. Okay. 23 and 10. Yeah, I'm not fully convinced. You know? Like, we just put down this is 4. Right? And then We just take one. We take the thin, we pass. And then we just jam scenario. If we pull Simlas, it's 2-0. I think. Hard to say. Yeah. Yeah, like... You know what I mean? We play... Okay, yeah. We just gotta play it. Jam the range row here. So we'll take Verno, and then we'll do Leader, and we'll do the Isengrim, and then we'll just look for damage and maybe a Heat Wave. Just with a hand this good, like, if we do have to go to round 3, we have Simlas, hopefully, which should just be pretty good, you know? And then we can just jam this here. I think that's fine. And honestly, they play a unit, we play Yavin. Maybe. Oh, that just takes a Heat Wave. That'll do it for that game, I guess. Alright, so we got Pincer Maneuver up next. And if this is Meditating Mages, guys, I think we have a pretty big advantage. We'll put back some bricks. 1, 2, and 3. But this is such a bad hand. This is real life. Like, these things will happen, right? What do we care more about? Damage or boost? The problem is that these are row locked to melee if they... Yeah. Like, I like this card, but I'm thinking no, I like the card. I'm going to stand by the card. Bombers could be a thing. But these have a higher point ceiling, right? These are like the Brockvar Hunters of elves. And they engine like crazy. So yeah, I'm going to stick with my decision. It's just about sequencing. But do you have 2 boiling oils, right? See, these just get worse as you... Okay, we're just going to pretend these are range row cards from now on. Okay, routine. Doesn't have to be death blow, but it just looks nicer when you do it that way, right? Then hopefully we can get down one of these, because then it'll reduce that cooldown. The thin will save us too. There's a leader charge. If any of you guys know how to get this leader skin, I forget where she was. Maybe I unlocked her already? You don't have to buy it, do you? So long as they don't have anything that damages by 3, I'm feeling alright. If it's too much to handle, we have a heat wave. On melee is interesting. It could be just about anything at this point. I think what I'm supposed to do is heat wave it. Just because of the whole cooldown thing on the Swordmaster, right? And the fact that they took Amphibious to go in for that tells me something's going on. We'll just play these two. And then next turn, like, we should have our Thin come out with the Aileron. The full leader's gone. Bellahoon, okay. Actually, then it's Rebuke. It's pretty satisfying, actually. I have another Rebuke. I'm hoping that they just concede, you know? Okay, so then we can take care of that too. Use our specials. Maybe we just wait, because they're not really tempoing here. Alright, so we got this. There we go. And... something's going on, man. Let's wait another turn. Find out. It could just be Cohen. Wow. That's going to go down to 1. We can remove that. I think that's worth it. And then we just take that. And then it just makes sense to play that. And then we still have, like, this reset if we want to go all in. And we can play this on range row, right? But I think that they're going to pass here. Actually, if they don't pass, we should. And we played, look, like a heat wave, okay. But, like, they had 1, 2, defender, some important engines. So, really just comes down to the top deck here. It doesn't look like it's enough for us so far. This is nice, this is nice, this is kind of not good here. This could be better here, I think. We have tools to do lots of damage. I think we play one of these, because we're still looking at maybe the possibility of taking offensive Vernal, because they don't have any leader, and we'll get, like, the 4, so it'll do 8 damage, right? Combine both does 4, 5, yeah? I thought it would just take the 1 for the 2. It's been a long time since I played this card. Do we lose the game because of it? Yeah? Maybe? Here. We need to go crazy, I think, yeah? Actually, more points. Don't do that ever. Definitely don't do that ever. That's just not a good move. I was just thinking it's going to do 2 and 2 and then 1. Because if we control a Deadeye, but there actually has to be the 2 units. You could tell I haven't tried that before, at least. I don't think Amphibious is enough. I think they have to go all in here. And then we still got, like, look, tons of good stuff here if we can get it. That's enough, actually. So what we could have done initially was just use the damage from Verno. We would have been fine. Now we have to sort of depend on what we get here. It's probably this. This is kind of good, you know? But I think we dump it. Okay, that's not ideal either. I wasn't thinking we're gonna pull Simlas, unfortunately. But they're bricking, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. Here. Damage by 3 if it's the only one, yeah. We should be alright. I make the mistake, so you guys don't have to, but if we just win because of this, then it just shows how strong the deck is, right? So I don't feel bad about it. They use that. Okay. I think we just still play it safe. Take some more hand buff here. Take that, we get the swarm going. We should just be okay. We'll split the rows up just in case they have wide punish. This does 2, it's an 8-point play. This, we slam on top, we should be good. Drog. Okay, that's it. Alright, so we got Guerilla Tactics up next. So we'll put back the bricks here. Hands looking pretty good for round 1. We'll put back the obvious second here. I'm thinking that they probably are trying to play Milva Sharpshooter because it got the provision buff when I see the leader. Could be wrong though. We'll see. It's a pretty good rebuke. You see the plan though, right? Like we'd take that and then we can just use like that, you know what I mean? And they won't boost it just to damage it, I don't think. They will, I guess. So traps. I still think we do that. Because then they just sort of trade, right? And if they don't click it, then we just use ours. I don't think we try and win on even just yet or anything like that. I think we just play cards. So, Simlas, huh? I'm not sold on playing Simlas just yet. But I do think it's important. If we can get Last Say, then we're going to get really good value from this. Actually, you know what? You could pretty much just clear the row. So it's like that. I'd say it's a really good turn. And then we can just play something cheap. You know? Yeah. This card's so great. Now we have Simlas, whereas they don't, so we might have more leverage to bleed here. And our hand's looking actually very good. Scenario and everything too. Maybe it is kind of the pushing hand here. What I do wow. What I worry about though is that maybe they have like crushing traps, which could be horrible for us. We've yet to take our thin, which is going to be kind of nice. Okay, Madoc and all that, that's fine. We'll just get the single proc thing going off here. I think it's that. Just to give them something to go after. And I think it's that. Little do they know we have nothing, right? But they'll try and get these out of the way before anything else. $24-2. I think we can afford to play something like this. And then just pass on that. Like normally we'd want to set it up with everything else first because we have spawn, 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 but it just doesn't seem worth it. Yeah. What do they do if we pass about 40 points up? So we played it actually very well round one. Even with that, it's not enough. And then, yeah, okay. So we got Alchemy up next. And this will probably be my last game of the day, but I'll revisit this deck, I'm sure, at some point, and whatever once the meta starts to unfold a bit more. So far, pretty happy with the way it's going. I think we kind of want that. I think we can probably put that back. That's not bad. Get these online here. Likely going to be self-wound, right? It's going to be the most. Oh, okay. It would make sense if they use Ouroboros here, yeah. Where's Torville when you need her? That would have been really good row punish. We'll just play cards though. So I wonder what they cut if these are 5 now, right? And then Coral got nerfed the previous patch. They have a defender in there. What's come out for the defender? Has it been like a consistency card for Maxi instead? Take... It's probably just playing bronze cards, right? We kind of have to pass here. Yeah, there's just too much tempo. Like, they got the perfect draws. I don't know why they're lining up this row perfectly. I guess only Morkvarg would fit, and then it's full. But 40 points in just 3-4 turns is kind of nuts. They're probably going to melee stack. Oh, I guess they were playing around Bowman. That's right. Let's see how they play. There's been so much tempo in round 1. Like, look, that, like, tons of gold being played. Is that the play, Melusine? I don't even think Melusine's the threat, necessarily. I think it's the whole Sigvald thing, right? So at least it's doomed. Now we can just take Heatwave when we need it. It's just about getting to the point where we can use it, right? Let's see here. That should help us get the Rebuke off. Of course. Actually, it's not bad. It's still not bad, because they'll do the damage to it, right? And now Melusine's becoming a better Heatwave. We gotta do something about this, though. 30 points. One, two, three, four, 5. 4, yeah, so this... it's enough. Okay, so yeah, we'll take a Heatwave on that for 17 points or whatever, and we should just be fine, right? We have scenario and everything we could play. It was a little bit uncomfortable. I think we're going to win the game, though. So I want Simlas. I think we run the risk of breaking them on purpose just because it's worth it. It's even worse. Here, we'll just play this from hand. Then we can jam scenario. I wasn't expecting them to be able to fit one as well. Yeah. I definitely need a break after this. I've been playing too much today. We got 6. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. We take. I guess we just let them go at it. So we'll take that. One thing I actually wasn't paying attention to is the fact that we have this. That's not really going to do a whole lot. We need to sort of fix that somehow. Now, they did play Sigdrifa, so maybe they took out Fukusha to make this whole thing work, right? It's possible. Let's just get rid of this card here. This kind of helps us, though. Now we have that front row we're looking for. I just don't see them fitting Fukusha. Wow. So they took out Truffle? We gotta play this on range now. I guess we're tying for the last one, sure.